The Unabomber, Terry Nichols, Timothy McVeigh, just a select smattering of the violent domestic extremists throughout U.S. history whose company Iced Earth guitarist Jon Schaffer has now joined as he received this last week his day in court and the merciless terroristic sentence of light probation. Metal infection, blathermouth, metal cocks. Ree Snyder, do me a favor. Part your pinko maw. Park Jon Schaffer's schwanz deep down your gullet till your uvula disintegrates, and suck until you see stars, sunshine. 4 years of defamation as a domestic terrorist, months in solitary confinement as easily the most famous face of the unjustified January 6 detainees, yet inexplicably almost never mentioned by the Daily Wire, Blaze, or any other famous face in the right-wing commentariat. And the sum and circumstance of all this hyperventilative idiocy is 3 years probation, a lighter sentence than the Noid got for ruining Domino's pizza pies. Who knew you could ruin a pizza with crust so hard you could trowel cement with it? The charges against Jon Schaffer: trespassing, unlawful assembly, and disorderly conduct around a government proceeding. If that sounds decidedly unterroristic, it's only because any rational person could already clearly see it was, particularly when the unlawful assembly involved respectfully filing past the velvet ropes in the statuary hall, and Jon Schaffer's entire arsenal consisting of a water bottle and bear spray. Breaking and entering, disorderly conduct. Hell, give this guy a glass of wine and a hammer, he'd be Paul Pelosi's dinner date. Yet our power-mad political class have blown butane up our asses all election cycle about how deeply damn dangerous it was for Trump to suggest a remedy for an election with more irregularities than Biden's bathroom journal. Look, it's all welcome news, and what I hope will be the first chapter in a story that ends with Jon Schaffer putting this kangaroo court proceeding behind him and cranking out a killer Iced Earth album. Maybe this time he can do it with a singer who isn't doing a shitty Matt Barlow impression. Of course, the media made sure to leak the lawyer's statement ahead of the announced verdict, and upon reading it, you can see why in spades. Now, absolutely anyone expects a defendant to be apologetic, and indeed, that appears as advertised, particularly in a plea bargain. It's the part where they lay blame at the executive branch, obviously a thinly veiled allusion to Trump, for deceiving their client as to the nature of the 2020 election result, where things got decidedly dicey. But before you shit on Schaffer here, you need to understand the politics at play. Schaffer's legal team tried to get this trial pushed back even further. Indeed, they've been trying for months to postpone the proceedings so Jon Schaffer could acquire legal counsel. But the DOJ coincidentally elected to convene this trial with a week and a half until Election Day. If that don't smell fishier than a WNBA locker room, try taking the clothespin off your nose. This was about impelling Jon Schaffer in the 11th hour of the election, no less, mere months before many of these January 6 prosecutions are examined and likely overturned by the Trump administration, to get Schaffer's lawyers to effectively absolve the DOJ of any wrongdoing, and in exchange, they hand him the only sentence that makes a modicum of sense: a light one. Hey, Judge Fed, why don't you just mount your bench, lift your skirt, and pinch turd right in the courtroom? You can call it an honorable discharge. 4 years of life-ruining rigmarole, and you hand him 3 years probation and a fine of $2,000, or roughly a single bag of groceries in the Joe Biden economy. And all for the unpardonable crime of walking past a velvet rope that we later learned the Capitol Police parted themselves, along with a bunch of other oblivious citizens scaring the piping fresh feces out of our selected representatives by wielding Walmart flags and bear repellent, the latter of which appears to be the only thing even vaguely adjacent to weaponry that was found on Jon Schaffer's person. I mean, relax, Bella Pelosi, you're safe. It's bear spray, not holy water. And now we play the waiting game. I mean, after all, Every other month, some mealy-mouthed metal icon was crying about Jon Schaffer being an insurrectionist, whether it was John's Demons and Wizards bandmate Hansi Kirsch crapping his lederhosen and in the band over an event about half as violent as any given weekend in the refugee rape fest taking place in his homeland of Germany, or a pre-op D. Snyder screeching about same. Doubtless, now they'll all be putting their dwindling reserves of money where their Joe Biden dick holster of a mouth is and recant their cringy declamations any minute now. If you plan on holding your breath for an apology, folks, you better have the lung capacity of a Hokkaido pearl diver. Meanwhile, if you want to watch a genuine act of domestic terrorism, try watching that 69-year-old sentient scrotum D. Snyder apply his old man makeup. You know the best thing about Twisted Sister playing smaller venues? You only need one grenade. I'm Razor Fist. Godspeed.
All the young lives you have saved.
It's very important for people to learn about fractional reserve banking if they want to have any chance at figuring out what is really going on in the world. It's one of the key elements to learn about the Federal Reserve System and the banks that control that and the fraudulent nature of fractional reserve banking. If you learn about that, you see motive for all of this stuff. You see motive for every bit of it.
Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down!